broadcast for shooters, hunters, and gun enthusiasts. This is the Firearms Radio Network.
Hello and welcome to episode 168 of Gun Guy Radio. This is a podcast that shines a positive light on the firearms lifestyle. I'm your host, Ryan Bachad, and this is your weekly dose of positive firearms talk without the politics. So when I was at NRA Show 2015, I did a video with Kevin Graham, the co-owner of Yankee Hill Machine. Yankee Hill Machine produces AR uppers and lowers, complete rifles, suppressors, and much more. They have a long family history, and I got the chance to speak with Kevin recently about the history behind the company and the products they're offering and what drives them to create such awesome products. Kevin's a real great guy, and it was a real pleasure to speak with him. So before we head into the main topic, I just want to remind the listeners to be sure to shop our Amazon affiliate link, firearmsradio.tv/Amazon, and a portion of your purchase proceeds go towards helping the Firearms Radio Network create great pro-gun content like this show. So with that, we're going to head into the main topic, Kevin Graham of Yankee Hill Machine.
Do you shop on Amazon? How about your spouse? Does your mom? Does your, company? Why not use the Firearms Radio Network's Amazon affiliate link next time you shop Amazon? Bookmark firearmsradio.tv/Amazon or click through the Amazon link in the right-hand corner of firearmsradio.tv. Get it? Got it? Amazon it.
All right, so we're into the main topic. So I'm here with Kevin Graham, the co-owner of Yankee Hill Machine. How you doing, Kevin?
Pretty good. How you doing, Ryan?
Oh, not bad. I had the pleasure of meeting you down at NRA Show 2015. We did a video, actually, on a few new products you guys were putting out, so we'll talk about that when we get into the questions here. So you and your brother are co-owners of Yankee Hill Machine, correct?
Correct.
Now, how did Yankee Hill Machine get started?
Yankee Hill was actually started in 1951 by our grandfather. It originally started out as just being a typical job shop, machine shop. So basically we were a machine shop that anybody could come to that had a part that needed to be made, and we would, make it for them under contract or anything like that. And then in the 1960s, we actually got a government contract for doing the cleaning rods for the M16. And that's kind of how we got our foot in the door with doing firearms-related products, was the inception of doing the M16 cleaning rod, and kind of went from there.
Yeah, that's, it could be those little tiny things where you start out with something that's completely unexpected that propels you into a whole new area.
Oh, yeah, certainly.
So what challenges do you know? Because I know you said your grandfather started it, but do you know what sorts of challenges there were when Yankee Hill Machine got started?
From what I can understand, a lot of it was just trying to get people to learn the name and to recognize, okay, I know who YHM is. Especially doing the job shop stuff. You're a small shop running with only 2 or 3 people. It's hard to kind of bring on customers and stuff because, obviously there's other bigger, more established companies out there. But through a lot of work between my grandfather and then my father in the 80s, they both worked really hard to kind of spread the word about YHM. And then, once we got really heavily into the firearms, that's when our name started to be really recognized, especially the last 5 or 6 years or so. We've been becoming much more of a household name.
Now, when did you and your brother start taking it over?
My brother's Chris. We actually took the company over at the beginning of 2013, so we've only been at it for 2.5 years together. My father's still active within the company. He's more or less an advisor to my brother and I.
Now, when you guys sort of took the helm, was there a desire to kind of steer it in a little bit of a different direction, or were you trying to focus on something a little bit different, or were you just trying to continue the lineage that had been going on for that many years?
Yeah, it's a good question. There's a little bit of discussion and debate between my brother and myself, because we both are kind of different people. But my father's was always trying to keep it your kind of all-American, wholesome looking company. Very patriotic themed, as you can see on all of our packaging and our website and stuff. Whereas, I think me being a little bit younger generation, kind of want the edgier look to kind of go with the gun industry and stuff like that. So we're actually in the works right now, kind of coming out with some new ads that have that more a little newer vibe with the edgier look to it compared to the older ads that you'll see.
Now, when did YHM actually get into the firearms themselves? Because, like you said, it was a parts manufacturer at the beginning,
right?
And then they got into then you guys got into the ARs and the complete rifles, right?
Yeah, we started doing accessories for other companies. I'd say probably in the late '90s, and then right around 04 or 05 was when we started doing, lower receivers. And then at that point we figured, okay, why don't we just do complete firearms at the same time?
Right. And that seems to be people will either do one or the other, and then all of a sudden they're like, well, why can't we just assemble these as well?
Right, exactly. You're making them for other people. Why can't you just assemble them and build them for your own name?
And there's a huge selection on the website there. Now, what exactly in terms of, do you see a lot more people buy the complete rifles, or do you see them buy the uppers and the lowers separately and then perform the work themselves?
We've tend to see more people buy the components and then they assemble the firearms themselves. I think a lot of that has to do with the fact that some of our original products were just accessories, so people still kind of view us as the company you go to accessorize your AR. Total sales our complete firearms are probably only 10 or 15% of our annual income. The rest of it's sound suppressors and then accessories. Now,
what are some of your most popular, the complete line of rifles?
I would say probably the Hunt Ready series. That's one of our biggest sellers. And then probably just the entry-level bare bones guns, because people want to make their gun their own, so they're going to buy a basic model, and then they tend to accessorize it from there.
Right. I know if I was getting into an AR, I would want something that I could accessorize myself. I've seen these ones that have all these different rail sections on them, and it's just like, I don't need that much. I'm more of a very Spartan guy. I've talked about wanting just an A1 style AR personally, but
yeah, you don't really need to have 3 feet of Picatinny rail on your firearm.
Right. Now, actually, that's a pretty good segue into the Hunt Ready rifle. So, there's been a huge push towards the DMR platforms, the designated marksman's rifles, as of late, probably past 5-7 years. And a lot of people are going with the AR platform. Traditionally, you'd see a lot of people go with like the M14 or the M1A type platform rifles, or even bolt actions. And there's been a push towards like the Mark 11, the ARs. Now, in your eyes, what does it take to make the AR platform into a decent marksman's rifle?
Everybody's going to want their own little thing on there, but me personally, I'm a big fan of the 6.8 millimeter round.
Right.
That's perfect for doing deer and mid-sized game, wild boars, that type of thing. So I would probably chamber it in 6.8. As far as handguards, I'd just do a rifle length smooth handguard. You don't really need any rail sections. Maybe have it like our Hunt Readies, where they're drilled and tapped so they can accept a small section of rail on the very front. So if you want, you can put a set of iron backup sights. Definitely recommend having a good scope on it.
In terms of barrel, a heavy barrel, is that something? Is that what the HB stands for?
No, what the HB is on ours, it's Hunt Ready Black.
Okay.
They're available in camouflage or black.
Because you see people talking about, it's got this profile barrel, this profile, and it's like for someone who's uninitiated in the AR world, it can be really confusing.
Yeah, certainly. As far as barrel profile, I personally don't see a need for having a bull barrel on an AR style gun, because the bullet's only 268 in diameter for the 6.8. So, if you have a barrel that's 3/4 inch in diameter, that's plenty of wall thickness. You're not really going to get any barrel whip out of it or anything like that.
Right.
And, especially if you're out hiking through the woods and stuff, you want to keep your gun as light as you possibly can, really.
Now, probably a question a little bit out of left field, but still a fun thought exercise, I suppose, and especially for someone who's so into the AR manufacturing part of it. If you could make a change to the design of the AR platform, what would be the one thing that you would change?
As far as the change, honestly, I really don't know. If I could change anything about the AR community, is trying to get people to not look at them as a a scary, well, I should say not the AR community, but people who don't know about the firearm, but
Right.
trying to not view it as a, kind of an assault rifle. View it as a modern, like you said, a modern day sporting rifle.
Now, are most of your guys' designs the traditional direct impingement, or do you offer any piston systems?
No, all of our firearms are all direct impingement.
And what do you see as some of the disadvantages? Because I know there was a period of time, probably I want to say 3 or 4 years ago, where you could not go anywhere in the firearms world without hearing about how great a piston system gun was, and then all of a sudden it seems like most of them have died out.
Yeah, I think the piston thing. It does have its pros and cons. I think at the time it was kind of a fad. We, as a manufacturer, we typically tend to see a 3 to 4 year lifespan of a certain product, and I think at that time it was just really the good time for the piston because it was kind of new, even though it was developed in the 60s. But I think a lot of people like them because you are keeping some of the grit and powder and stuff out of your upper receivers, and they are nice because they're easier to set up on the adjustability for if you're running suppressed on your firearm. But reliability wise, I still think direct impingement is really the way to go because obviously the military adopted that version for a reason.
Yeah, it really does seem like that passed through in a very short period of time. So now, in terms of your suppressors, because in the video we were talking about your suppressors and this AR that you guys had, and the video's over on the Firearms Radio Network YouTube page if you want to go check that out. Now, I've had some experience with suppressors, not in terms of personally owning one. I have a buddy who owns one, owns a few actually. And did YHM start out doing suppressors earlier on, or was this more of a market that you got into once the business was more like in the 90s or something like that?
Right. The suppressors we definitely got into when we were relatively established. We started playing around with sound suppressors in cooperation with Sound Technologies in, I believe, 02 or 03. And then, we originally started off with only having just a single bare bones chromoly 5.56 sound suppressor, whereas nowadays we have a full line of suppressors that range anywhere from 22 light rifle all the way up to 338 Lapua.
Yeah, I was going to say, you have several different categories on here: rimfire suppressors, pistol suppressors, SMG suppressors. What would be like the differentiating characteristic between all of those? Is it just the pressure rating on the casing, or is it other material changes?
Yeah, they tend to be caliber specific in terms of build materials, diameters and lengths of the actual tubing for it. And then the user serviceability of it, on the rimfire and the centerfire pistol calibers, you typically want to have those user serviceable so you can disassemble them and clean them because they tend to be a little bit more dirty. Whereas the higher pressure rifle calibers, 5.56, supersonic 300 blackout 6.8, 308, you don't really have to service those sound suppressors because the pressures are high enough inside of it that there's not really time for anything to build up inside of the suppressor, and because it's burning so much hotter, there's not really anything to really build up inside of the suppressor.
Right, it pretty much blows everything out of it every shot.
Yep.
Now, why would a company make that? Now, is the suppressors you make, are they all user serviceable, or just the lower, like the rimfire and the pistol caliber ones?
Yeah, in our product line, any of the rifle caliber rated ones are a welded sealed unit. So like your 5.56 and any of our 30 cal and our 338, those are all welded, non-user serviceable. But our Sidewinder series of pistol suppressors, which are available in 940 and 45, and then our 22 Stinger, those are all user serviceable.
Why would somebody make a suppressor that would not be user serviceable? Just, is it pressure reasons or something like that? Yeah,
typically you'll see, for the rifle caliber, there'll be a welded unit only because, you don't need to take it apart. And yeah, your chances of your weld failing are much less than having a thread fail. And, truthfully, you don't really need to take it apart, so why make it more complicated than it needs to be?
Absolutely. And what are some of the challenges when building and selling suppressors? Because, everybody thinks, oh, well, it's just a metal tube with a bunch of K baffles in it or whatever baffle you use. And there's really a lot more to it. There's the whole legality side, And then there's also understanding the pressures of the given cartridge you're trying to suppress, understanding, the concentricity with the barrel and having the threads go on right. And, because if you don't get that right, you're getting baffle strikes, and you don't want that, obviously. And so what are some of the challenges you guys encounter when you're actually doing that, the suppressors?
Yeah, as far as challenges, it tends to be kind of caliber specific. So, on the rifle suppressors, it definitely, a lot of it has to come to, the pressures and the speed of the projectile going through the suppressor. It kind of dictate the choice of baffling that you want to use inside of it. Truthfully, we haven't really found any sort of scientific, okay, this is the pattern for this host. It's a lot of R&D time and a lot of range time just testing and proving out different types of baffle designs and stuff like that. Typically with the 5.56, you have some standards. Okay, the tube's going to be 1.5 inches in diameter. It's going to be about between 6 and 7 inches long. So, we usually start with that work envelope and then kind of develop the internals from there. And then on the pistol sound suppressors, they react much more differently to the baffling each caliber. So, our 45 and our 9 baffles are slightly different from each other only because the bullets are going to fly differently because of the different pressures. And then the 22 is a completely different design as well. So, a lot of it's just for concepting, coming up with different designs, and a lot of range time and a lot of ammo.
Now, do you find any challenges in terms of the QD mounts that you guys sell for your ARs? Do you see a lot of people either go with like just a straight thread mount, like a 1/28, or do you see a lot of people go with the QD mounts? Because I know some people talk about the repeatability and the indexing on the suppressor, and I've never actually personally used those quick detach mounts, so I was kind of curious as to the durability of them, and what would you, if you were personally putting a suppressor on your AR, what would you go with?
I definitely recommend doing a QD mount. Sales wise for us, probably 90% of our sound suppressors that are sold are quick disconnect instead of direct thread on. Repeatability. A good manufacturer is going to make sure that when they're designing their QD system, that it's going to lock up the same every time you put it on that host. So once you get your gun dialed in with that suppressor, you can take it on and off as many times as you want, and it's going to repeat every time. Another nice thing about doing a quick disconnect sound suppressor is you can buy, say, a 308 sound suppressor, and you can just get different mounts for your 6.8, your 5.56, and you can move that one suppressor onto different firearms hosts.
Yeah, that's one thing people don't understand is that, well, sometimes that they think they have to use that suppressor for that caliber, and I mean I've used it was just kind of a funny experiment. Tried twisting a 223 suppressor onto a Ruger SR22, and it worked. It was too big and heavy for the handgun, but it definitely worked pretty well.
Oh yeah, definitely. It's we tend to be pushing a lot of our customers, showing them that they're caliber universal. If you buy a 30 cal, you can run anything 30 cal or smaller through it. So I think that that's a really good selling point because you can save the guy, the cost of another suppressor and as well as a tax stamp by selling them just a quick disconnect 30 cal, and they can use it on a variety of different firearms.
Now, I noticed in your gear section here, looking at this, you have a few different caliber options in terms of gear. I see 7.62 by 3.9 accessories, and then traditionally, though, you'll see a lot of people complain about having problems with that. Now, have you guys ever built the top ends for the 7.62 by 3.9, and what are some of the problems that might be encountered with that? I know they have the weird magazine shape.
Right. As far as the 7.62 by 39, we actually used to do complete firearms and complete assembled top ends in that caliber. Unfortunately, at the time, we weren't producing our own bolt heads, and it was during the firearms craze, and our supplier just couldn't supply us with the bolt heads. So we had to stop offering complete uppers for the 7.62 by 39. But we had it pretty dialed in to where reliability wise, we didn't really have any issues. A lot of people don't realize this, but you actually have to have a different firing pin to work with the 7.62 by 39 because the primers are actually sunken in more than a traditional 2-3 or 6.8 cartridge. So it's a lot of little fine tuning and fine tweaks that as a manufacturer you got to kind of play around with and make sure it works for your customers. Everything that we produce, we're going to make sure it works no matter what because we don't want a product out there that a customer is going to have issues with. So everything that we offer for the 7.62 by 39, we've had great reviews coming back from people. We haven't really heard of any complaints really.
And I also see here, if I wanted to build a 9mm upper for an AR, you guys offer quite a few parts for that. Do you see a lot of people do that?
We do. It seems like at the SHOT Show 2015, 9mm was a pretty hot topic, which was kind of surprising to us because we've been offering 9mm components for the past 5 or 6 years, but it seems like this year was the most popular year-wise for it. We're actually offering a complete 9mm AR pistol as well. Because you know how the AR pistols right now are kind of the hot commodity to have. So we figure why not make the pistol as small as you possibly can, so it comes right from the factory with only a 5.5-inch long barrel on it.
No, that's awesome. You're right. It does seem like that's with everybody had the whole SIG brace craze and everything. If someone was looking to get into an AR chambered in 9mm, is there anything that you think they should really look out for in terms of potential reliability issues or longevity issues?
Definitely. If you're looking at doing a 9 conversion on a traditional AR lower, make sure you're investing in a good quality magazine block adapter. There's some of them that are out there that plastic. I'd recommend staying in the steel model if you can. And then another big thing is making sure that the buffer is 9mm specific, because they tend to have more weight to them and they have more of a shot put to them, more or less. Kind of like an H3 buffer where they have more shock to them. You'll find that if you try running a standard carbine buffer with a 9, you can have actually out of battery firing, which is never a good thing. So, making sure you have a good mag adapter and then a nice 9-specific buffer are definitely two critical things to it.
Now, the magazines you guys have for the 9mm on your website, are those just repurposed mags, or those ones you guys designed and manufactured yourselves?
No, those are actually Colt-style 9mm. We actually produce them or get them from a company called Metaform. They have a very high-end product. When we build our complete firearms, we try to provide the best parts we can right from the factory. So, Metaform, they cost a little bit more, but as far as durability and longevity, you're not going to have any issues with those mags at all.
Now, have you guys offered anything in terms of like 22? Because I know there was a big push also, like again a few years ago, where everybody was coming out with a 22 facsimile of the AR platform and whatever flavor they offered it in, and it's really popular. And you used to see back in the day before we got into before ARs really exploded. You would get a conversion unit where you'd have to replace the bolt, and there was a weird magazine and a weird looking bullet shaped thing that actually pushed a 22 into your existing barrel sleeve or whatever. And then you started seeing people just making either dedicated 22 long rifle uppers or complete rifles. Now, is that something that YHM ever got into?
No, we never really got into doing the 22 of firearms. The only thing 22 related we did is we offered replacement barrels for the 1022 integrals. 1022 Rugers. We also do offer replacement barrels that are actually integrally suppressed for the Ruger 1022, and then we have our 22 Stinger minus non-suppressor. So those are really the only products that we did 22 caliber specific.
Yeah, there's a lot of challenges of the 22. It's a really dirty cartridge, and that can pose a lot of issues that you wouldn't see in a centerfire platform.
Certainly.
Excellent. So before we wrap up the main topic here, is there any new products coming out for 2015 that you can tell us about here and let people know where they can actually find them?
Sure. Right now, 2015, we're going to be coming out with some more of the key mod accessories, and then we're also going to be looking at doing some more of the M-Lock accessories. So those are the two very popular mounting systems right now. We're also going to be doing some 300 blackout AR pistols, and working right now on doing a dedicated 9mm lower as well, so you don't have to use a mag lower adapter block. If you're looking to find any more information about YHM, you can go to our website at yhm.net, or look us up on Facebook as well. It's facebook.com/official YHM. Or you can go to any of your local gun dealers and just request a catalog or information about YHM.
Awesome, yeah, and that actually brings up one more question I got for you.
Sure.
The M-Lock. Now, again, admittedly, I am not an AR person. Like I said, I'm someone who wants one without rails or anything. Now, the M-Lock, I've seen that a lot recently being pushed pretty hard. In your opinion, what advantages does that offer over your traditional Picatinny rail system?
I think the nice thing is about the new modular mounting systems is you don't have a traditional Picatinny rail where all four sides are, railed, whereas the M-Lock, you can have a much lower profile handguard itself, and you can strategically mount your accessories where you want them. So I think it's much nicer to handle.
Yeah, not only that, but you're also getting away from having to, have all these rail covers and stuff like that. You're not sawing off your hand when you're shooting without anything mounted.
Certainly, and you can also reduce quite a bit of weight by not having the solid mounted Picatinny rails in your handguard as well.
Excellent. So that about wraps up the main topics. We will head into the wrap-up section and close out the show.
Ballroom jeans, fire hose work pants, and long-tail tees are three favorites among the men of Gun Guy Radio. Duluth Trading Company has perfected the art of clothing the manly man. If you want manly comfort that's trusted by these gun guys, go to gunguyradio.com/Duluth and check out the other manly essentials Duluth Trading Company offers gun guys like us.
Well, Kevin, I just want to thank you for coming on. It was a real pleasure to get to speak with you, and people can find more information YHM.net or on Facebook, official YHM, correct?
That is correct.
Excellent. Well, I cannot wait to see what YHM comes up with next, and when that happens, be sure to let me know. We'll get you back on the show and have another talk.
I certainly will.
All right. Thanks a lot, Kevin.
Thank you.
Gun Guy Radio says thank you, and proudly displays artwork and graphics designed by Ryan Cross of Hunter of Design. hunterofdesign.com.
So I hope you're enjoying Gun Guy Radio, and if you are, please consider going over to patreon.com/FRN. What is Patreon, you might ask? Well, Patreon is a simple way for you to crowdfund every episode of Gun Guy Radio. If you're enjoying the show, you can head over to patreon.com/FRN and pledge $1 an episode or $5 an episode to help support pro-gun radio like this. So that about wraps up this episode of Gun Guy Radio. Remember to subscribe to us on iTunes so that you never miss a show, and please leave us a review there as well, gunguyradio.com/iTunes. Please consider joining the NRA and the Second Amendment Foundation. There are links there in the show notes. And don't forget to check out the other shows on the Firearms Radio Network. This is Ryan Machad, and I'll see you next week.
This has been a production of the Firearms Radio Network. You can find more information at firearmsradio.tv. Are you looking for an extraordinary daily carry option? Look no further. Car Arms is giving away a P9 with night sights right here on the Firearms Radio Network. It's Car's EDC drawing. To enter, simply become a Patreon of any Firearms Radio Network show. Current patrons are automatically entered. But wait, there's more. Keybar, Hellbent holsters, Alien Gear holsters, Precision Ear, and more have ponied up to enhance your EDC loadout. See all of these awesome prizes and more ways to enter at firearmsradio.tv/EDC.